All right. The last video I did was on atheism and agnosticism, and I tried to sum it up in that we all have a purpose. Now, the reason we have a purpose, we can see, is because we have hands, we have feet, we have nose, and all these things have a purpose, not just a function, which would also mean that God is a personal God, not a God that just created us by mistake or created us and left us out to fend for ourselves. Now, the next part of that is that God is one. Now, the reason that this is important is because we need to focus our attention on this one true God, if that's what it is. Now, the reason God is one, the Quran says, if there were multiple gods, there would be chaos in the universe, because one God would lord his whatever he possessed over the other God. If there was a God of rain, and then there's a God of vegetation, if there's a God over the sun, and a God that is in charge of the moon, and a God that is in charge of life and death, there would be chaos in this world. So we have to understand that we have one governor. That's why the world is in the cycle that it is in. That's the reason that science is so understanding, because science works upon this one premise, and that premise is that the universe makes sense. So that we know that the sun rotates around its axis and the planets rotate around the sun because we have one governor of this system. The other thing is to understand is that if God is infinite, and we can't have two infinites. The reason that the way you determine two different things or two distinct things is that they have to be finite. That means there's one thing here. There has to be a second thing over here. That means the shape has to be this way to distinguish it from the other finite thing. So there can't be two infinite things, because they would encompass and impede upon the space of the other infinite thing. So it can only be one infinite thing. Not only that, is Jesus is recorded as saying, no one can serve two masters, which would also give us some logic into understanding that we would, even if it was multiple gods, you would prefer to have one God. And Yusuf told the Egyptians while they were in prison, Yusuf alayhi salam says, would you rather have one God or multiple gods? So not just from the standpoint of your preference, but from logic, it can only be one God. It can't be a God who's a big God and a little God. None of those things are in existence. It is one God, supreme being, who is the creator of all things.